Farad, I mean, in the last few movies, how much we appreciate Kerala's beauty. I mean, in this film, again, my mind was blown. Please, somebody tell me in the comments which place was this. I would love to visit this place. What a place, man. What
Yeah.
cinematography and what locations, and why the hell people go to abroad for vacations and all. If they haven't seen Kerala, they, they are missing so much
Definitely.
in India. Hello everyone, welcome to Cinema Hall podcast. And today it's another weekend, and in now showing we have got Home, a very beautiful and a sweet film. And to talk about Home in further detail, I've got Farad with me. The other people were not really present today because we are recording it very late at night. I just finished watching the film, and Farad has already seen and put up the review on his website. But it's such a film that comes very rarely these days. It's like a once in a blue moon sort of a family drama, and even when family dramas do come, you sometimes find that soul is missing, yeah, or that warmth is missing. But this is that one film where I found a lot of genuinity, a lot of soul, and a lot of coherence and that warmth factor in the family. Even though everyone had a very different relationship in between each other, and the dynamics were very variable for everyone. So Farad, first of all, welcome. And, Malayalam cinema, I mean, we keep making these podcasts, and these guys keep coming with yet another knockout film, punching left, right, and center, and, just kind of making everyone sort of realize that what good cinema is. And it's not like one bunch of people are making it, or it's they have found a formula that they're just following and making same sort of content which happens in Bollywood. If they find a formula, they'll stick to it, be it music or films. But these guys, I mean, from a like, if I give you an example, like, See You Soon, completely different storyline, completely different setup, everything, so experimental. Then you come to Joji. So Joji was, Macbeth's adaptation, and then you come to Great Indian Kitchen, which is again completely, mind blowing and yet so different. So the point I'm trying to make is, every film is so unique and different to each other with its own identity, and entertains us in the same way. And now Home has come up with a home run. Have you noticed, like, Malayalam films play a lot of stuff on generations. Like, we talked about it in
Yeah.
Kuruti as well, and then we talked about it in Joji. This Rojan Thomas, the director, he deserves all the accolades for creating this film, writing the story as well, and he had a very promising debut with a film called Phillips and the Monkey Pen. I was reading somewhere today, and then he had a very forgetful second film. So I thought maybe he has taken inputs from his own life, because he just
Maybe.
like Anthony, he Anthony started with a successful first film, and then he was struggling with the second one. So who knows if he would have taken some sort of pointers from his own life. Maybe he also has a
I've written the exact same thing. I've written this exact same thing in my review.
okay. Oh, and who knows, maybe his father also would have been technologically challenged, and he would have also, tried to become better at technology to get approval from his kids. So that way, I think I loved how subtly that part was written. And as the film goes along, effortlessly they kind of present to you the protagonist. So it's not in your face that this is the guy you have to watch this film for. So that was,
Exactly.
for me, that was probably the best part of the film. And the performance he put, I think it's complete. Indrans is, he's found a new fan in me. So what did you think of that character?
So, what I felt was that what the trend that I have seen in the Malayalam film industry is that they normally keep the premise a little simple, which is a good thing, by the way. They don't complicate the story, but they work on the screenplay. They make it more layered. yeah, or they make it more layered, or they make it character driven. So this was like character driven. This, they had strong good characters which were written. So there were so many characters that were memorable. One of them was definitely the father. I would just like to draw a small parallel about where why do we say that the Malayalam industry is, right up there. Here, the father that was there, the look that they had given, it was like a simple look. It was like any, it was a household father. It can be anybody. He was short. He was losing his hair. It was, it didn't look that hero material that was there. Unlike if you've seen a Bollywood film, you will cast somebody like an Amitabh Bachchan. Now, all fathers cannot be Amitabh Bachchan, no. So that's where, So from the point that I want to make basically is that what Bollywood does is that it makes the character of the father that is there perfect from the audience point of view. That all your sympathy goes to that character. Here, whereas the situations are such that you form your opinion, and the characters that are there, you slowly win them over, and
Mm.
it is more organic here. So this is the major difference that you see in the character that is written. Why do we say Malayalam film industry is right up there? This is because of this reason.
I think also credit to Indran's, because he was so natural in that role, uh, because he was compassionate and also forgiving at the same time. And I pity the fact that he actually genuinely couldn't understand why his son is afraid of his own feelings and so insecure. I mean, he couldn't understand that, and he honestly he wanted to crack it out, that what's inside my son. Why is he not really behaving with me the way he's behaving with his to-be father-in-law? So I found that that sort of innocence in his character. That is probably the soul of the film as well. And just like a true hero, true protagonist, he never gave up as well. Until the end, he he was just trying to find out ways to seep through the penetrate through his son's exterior. And he also uh, he just keeps showing him the affection without any sort of condition, like unconditional and selflessly. He was being the father he was supposed to be. And I have seen these sort of children, in my life, who actually do not really respect their parents for what they have done all their lives, and they don't really, they actually take them for granted and don't value them as much. And I've always felt that once, uh, see, it's life. One day your parents will die, one day you will die. So I've always felt the fact that, be it your grandparents or parents, before it's too late, you have to realize the fact that they are family. Family is all. So you have to value them and value the time you have together with them. So somewhere it also reminded me of this beautiful series called This Is Us. I don't know if you have seen it, but This Is Us again.
But I've heard many things from you actually.
Yeah, I have. So This Is Us. If people have seen, I'm sure they would have also related a few things from the family drama, because there also the children, when they are young, they take the parents for granted, and then later on they start realizing the value. So here again, it was, so that was little predictable in this film, because eventually, for a happy ending, it had to go that way. But I think the journey that was taken from
Yeah.
from the beginning to reach that, I think that was very wholesome and fruitful.
And also one thing that I wanted to point out in the screenplay was that the fish in the tank, that was metaphorical in many ways. That was like the character of the father, like where the world has gone, but you're still closed in your own little world.
Yeah.
Even when you are, that tank broke, which is said that like the house is crumbling down probably,
Mm.
and still you're finding another home, but still you're in that same premise. You don't know that there's an ocean out there. You're just in your tank, so to say. So that is again another interesting metaphor that was set up in the while the screenplay was on the very beginning. It was set up. So that was again very interesting, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, so everyone, I think, has lent very able support to make Oliver Twist what Oliver Twist eventually became, because if it was not supported by them with those performances and those dynamics between the relationships, then Oliver wouldn't have become what he has eventually. And also, in around the second half, the huge sort of turn of events that come, and the huge reveal. What did you think of that? I mean, for me, that story was a little too good to be true, but of course, the makers can take a bit of creative liberty. But what did you think of that?
I didn't seem to mind, that it was a way of tying up the thread and keeping the circle alive. I just had a small problem in the second half again. It was with the character of the doctor. I mean, I felt that was a little forced for me, Dr. Franklin. Uh, that I think was just used as a catalyst to get a story in a certain direction and give it a certain impetus and track basically. So I felt that was a little forced, and it was slightly dragged in the second half. But I didn't seem to mind, even though it was predictable. Definitely, I did see it coming through, as a circle towards the end as well. But I didn't seem to mind. I mean, I
But
would take this end any day.
did you think that, for his son to be able to have that sort of respect for his father, which he has at the end, for him to have that, they had to tell that whole story, from his dad's childhood. So, did you think
Well,
uh, they could have taken taken a different route for his son to have have the respect for his father, which he had lost?
um, yes and no. Uh, I think that it's earlier route that was there. It was in the first half as well, when the son, is reading a book of his to-be father-in-law,
Hmm.
and he's with his father, and he says that, "What have you done in your life? Like, I can't even fill half a page for that. What you've done." And that's when the father thinks, and he says that this is what I've done, but he doesn't take it seriously. So the thing is that is set up. Definitely, it is set up early on in the first half only. But having said that, they could have also taken another route altogether. I mean, there's this thing called hindsight, that everything in hindsight is great. So they
I'm
could
only
have
thinking
definitely
that I'm
taken.
only thinking of a different route, because other than that particular element in the film, the rest of the film was very relatable and very natural.
Hmm.
So that whole flashback stuff that actually then helped the son uh, grew fond of his father, and which really sort of backtracked everything in their lives. I just thought, since that was a little, kind of a fairy tale sort of a story. So if the film had to be completely relatable for me, then they could have taken a more sort of a natural and organic route towards that. That was my understanding. But I mean, of course, it's a film, it's a work of fiction, so they can have that sort of liberty, and they showed it convincingly as well. I'm not saying that it felt unreal or something like that. But and Farad, I mean, in the last few movies, how much we appreciate Kerala's beauty. I mean, in this film, again, my mind was blown. Please, somebody tell me in the comments which place was this. I would love to visit this place, because he lives in Trivandrum or Kochi, I think, and then he goes to his home 200 kilometers. So
Yeah,
what place was that?
yeah, T20.
If I missed it in the film, if they told us, or if they didn't, then somebody from Kerala, please tell us in the comments, because what a place, man! What
Yeah,
cinematography, and what locations. And I was just, I was like, why the hell people go to abroad for vacations and all? If they haven't seen Kerala, they they are missing so much
definitely.
in India itself.
100%. I mean, the production value was outstanding in this movie. I felt the right from the camera, the way the film was shot. I mean, it's just a norm. Like, it's just like every other day. Like, we just come here and we praise the technicalities of the film, of the Malayalam film industry specifically. I think there's like Like if it's so next time, I think if we have to talk about, the technical details, we can probably talk when it is not really up to the mark, which then we would run at a risk of saying that it will never happen because always on top.
Yeah,
So it just gave a fresh vibe to the film. I felt the cinematography and the production design, the art design that was there, just gave a very nice and lively feel to the movie as compared to. I will, compare it slightly to Bagban, and I will say that where Bagban was wrong. That firstly, the characters of the children, they just portrayed them in a very negative light. I
yeah,
mean, this was such a balanced character. The character of Srinath Basi is very balanced character. It was not, you wouldn't like him completely, but you wouldn't hate him also completely. It was like very balanced. But there, everything, I think it was like one-sided narrative, and everything is bad only with so it doesn't happen. It might be happening. I mean, I'm nobody to comment on that, but I just felt that this was a little more relatable. You would find, probably you would be that character of Shrikant. I would be that character of uh, I said Shrikant, sorry, Srinath. And so
and
that's where the relatability comes. And so that's, I felt that's where its goes. That is the soul of the film, that nobody's bad, nobody's good, but there is a character that is very earnest and you root for him at any point of time. And that is actually the soul of the film. So there might be a few flaws in the screenplay, but all of that is gone due to its great characterization also.
yeah,
And the, of course, as we said, the production value, we are coming to that. So
yeah.
production value is
The
outstanding
whole
here.
the color scheme of the film is also very bright and very positive.
Yeah,
And I love their house as well.
not dull.
The
Yeah,
amount of work they do at Reki and the whole art direction. This time, the house they've showed here, and I mean, I'm just running short of words. Every time I would, if somebody starts giving me a penny for every time we would praise Kerala, I mean, we would make more money
we'll
than,
be billionaires, right?
yeah, we would make more money than
Just to
YouTube is paying me right now.
Yeah, just to give one more reference, and I'll compare it straight away with Kuruti, the production design. So there, if you see, the mood of the film was very serious, and so the lighting was such. Here, it was a little light, and it was like with family, so it was bright. The you talked about the color schemes, so color schemes were brighter here. So that is one reference that you can directly make out. They put a lot of attention in
Yeah,
that.
same
My God, do they do that?
like if you remember Mahishinte Pratikaram, so that also had a very comic sort of tone undertone in that, and that's why the colors were also somewhere like this film. Uh, now also special mention for music. I mean, Rahul Subramaniam has done a great job in music background score and songs, and a couple of my friends also featured in the music credits. Arun Varghese and Ritu was there, who have done the string arrangement. So kudos to you guys if you're watching this. I'm not sure if you are, but if you, even though if you're not, you did a great job. Just talking about the flaws of the film now, as you said, if there is any, first of all, the length. I mean,
Hmm.
I think doesn't matter how good the picture looked on screen, how good the performances were, how heartfelt the message was. Still, more than 160 minutes. Today's day and age, where great films are coming in 2 hours or less than that. You think the editor could have done a better job?
Yeah, I felt, especially in the second half, uh, some places it was dragging. It could have, they could have cut short, probably less than 2.5 hours, or I don't know if they would have kept it at 2 hours. I think that would have been a little concise, I would say, but I wouldn't have minded anything little less than 2.5 hours as well. I think 2 hours and 40 minutes was a little tad too long, but it's okay. I mean, overall, the message went through and the impact was there. So yeah, that's fine. And I also had as I said, I had an issue with the catalyst in the second half. That was that the character of the doctor. It seemed a little forced to me. It may have worked for a few others as well, but this, so personally, I felt it was a little they had manipulated the screenplay such that you had to get them, make the father realize in such a way to, so that it just felt a little too convenient for me. And a little manipulative.
Do you think also the fact that it was 160 minutes long, maybe they were trying to say too many things at once? Like, of course, there was, the smartphone
No,
addiction and then that mental health angle because he's going to a psychologist. And, it's ironic that his son being this a new generation and filmmaker guy, he has a problem with, his father going to the psychologist and he doesn't even understand why people go to psychologists. Not a mental sort of taboo anymore. So, even though the message was right, but do you think the film was trying to say too many things at once? That's why it was also 160-minute long?
I don't think it was trying to say too many things, but I tend to partly agree with you as well that that mental health part, although it is important and mental health needs to be discussed, but here it somehow, I don't know, did it feel forced or was it underwritten? It just
I think
felt a little in between somewhere.
they could have
It
done
was,
away without it as well. And
they
the
could have done it. Otherwise, you should have set up its roots probably slightly more in the.
Mm.
I'm not saying that it did not affect the mental health of the father. It would have definitely affected, but somewhere I think it straight should have started in the first half as well, instead of making the sudden switch in the second half. That I felt a little was forced. Mental health is important, but probably
I
it
think
was
see, more than
underwritten.
I think the mental health aspect of the film, more than affecting the father-son relationship, it was, I think, to depict the irony that,
Hmm.
Anthony and his father-in-law, a so-called, novel writer, autobiographer, they are who are supposed to be, this advanced sort of, new this who were actually representing a more elite class sort of people. They ironically they had problems with somebody going to a psychologist, which is in today's age it's not a huge deal. If you remember when his father-in-law
Hmm.
his
Yeah.
sees Antony's father
Hmm.
at that park. So, what sort of perspective he sees it with, and then he actually tells on him when they are at their place. They actually tells on him that he was going there, and then his son has also a problem with it. So I think. More than father-son relationship, it didn't have anything to do with that. It was probably a
Yeah.
commentary on how ironic and hypocrite people are these days. But as we
It
said,
didn't come out too well, I felt. It didn't that part then if it was that, then it didn't come out that well,
yeah, and
unfortunately.
that's why it prolonged the film as well unnecessarily. I
Yeah,
mean, they could have done it
yeah, correct.
if even at all they wanted to do it, they could have done it in a shorter or
Hmm.
a better way as well. So, other than that, a smartphone addiction again, it's a very important factor in the film, and which is also very relevant in today's time because. Uh, if you remember when we did the Friends reunion podcast, in that we were talking why Friends is still relevant today because today four or six friends are sitting together in a group. Nobody would be without their phones. So watching Friends takes you back to that time where everyone would sit together with a cup of coffee and talk face to face, not Facebook to Facebook. They will have FaceTime for each other in literal terms. So that way, I think smartphone addiction was rightly pointed out, and at the end also we saw, when they both sit together without phones actually, and they have that moment where very sweet moment between them. So, do you think at least if not the mental health issue, but at least the smartphone addiction issue was handled very maturely and it came out very well as well?
100%. This I think was I think very well written, and I think this was also meant to be a theatrical release.
Yeah,
So they had planned it in such a way that the initial caption was that try not to use your smartphone,
yeah.
and the halfway mark it was like
Time to
now
use.
time to check your, yeah, like, so that was all imprinted in that, very nicely, cleverly it was written. So I think that smartphone part, it definitely was conveyed exceptionally well, even in the first half specifically. I love the first half. I think it was probably the best written first half of this year, I felt, 2021.
Wow, okay.
uh, yeah, so I felt it was outstanding screenplay in the first half. Second, it just stumbled a little, but not enough to derail it. It was pretty good still. I would take the second half any day if you give me, on face value. So yeah, so coming back to the smartphone part, yeah, it was conveyed pretty well.
I think
The message went across.
you're talking about the first half, the opening sequence itself. I mean, that fish tank was creating so much of anxiety inside you. What's gonna happen? What you knew that it's gonna break down, but you know how it's gonna happen, when it's gonna happen. So they had the viewers on the edge of their seats. So that was a good, really
Yeah,
good start. And I also like the fact that the son being a successful filmmaker, like his first movie was a good one. He later on accepts the fact that, you know, I was not really focusing on my job as much as I should have. I was just thinking about unnecessary things like how people would perceive me, and you know, all those his insecurities. He accepted that, his ego and all those things. So I really like that, because these days, you know, that insecurity and ego is a part and parcel of most of the artists, you know, and especially how they related it with smartphone, that you know, because of smartphone he has issues because he's seeing his peers doing well, so you know, it can give you that feeling, okay, I'm not doing that great probably in my life, so that sort of envious nature comes into the play. But did you feel that at the end of the film, uh, of course, you know, the smartphone wala angle was very important, and the whole family relationship and all. Apart from the relationship they had inside the family, did you feel the relationship that Priya and Anthony had, that was also a little sidetracked? I mean, I at times I felt it was toxic as well. Did you feel that?
yeah, it was toxic, and I it wasn't their story, to be honest. So it was okay to be sidelined. I think it was the main crux was they were just so Priya was just a small catalyst in the whole screenplay of the main family that was there, of basically Srinath and the father that was there, Indrans. So it's okay to be, that was anyway a sidetrack, and that's, I mean, fine.
Talking about the other characters in the film, like you know, the younger son had a 360-degree contrasting character in Kuruti, and here you know he was playing sort of a speed breaker character in the film, who was relieving the tension and you know, coming up with his one-liners and all those things. So he I think he did a really good job. Even his the friend character Suryan, he also you know, he did his part very ably as well. So I mean, we keep talking about how every supporting character does so well in Malayalam films, and here also nobody felt out of place. Everyone felt a part of that whole world created by the director. So now, before we end this, I mean, you know, despite the length of the film, let's agree that you know, Home is relatable and very, you know, light-hearted sort of a story that would actually eventually stand out because of the strength of the performances of especially the lead character. It will be remembered for a long time.
Definitely, definitely. It will be remembered. And it's a refreshing film, from all the thrillers and crime dramas that we've seen, even horror
Yeah.
for that matter. For all the movies, I mean, not only Malayalam, all the movies. This is like a nice little family drama, light-hearted, that comes out of nowhere. I hadn't expected this to come. So this, completes the palette, I feel, of the shades of Malayalam. I don't know if they again, it's difficult to predict with the Malayalam film industry. They can just spring up another subject and say, "Oh, this is another genre that is there right here that you didn't expect." But this like nicely rounds up, is what I was saying. It rounds up a nice palette for that, and yeah, it is a nice, sweet little movie and deserves to be watched. You will love it. Watch it with your family. I would say this will be extra special. I watched it with my mom, and she was up with me throughout. The film we finished like little before our bedtime.
You know, talking about family dramas, it also reminded me of Kapoor and Son somewhere because of, you know, the warmth and the soul that film had in that whole family. So yeah, this was Home, guys. Hashtag Home. Please go watch it on Amazon Prime. As Farhad said, go watch it with your family, and you will enjoy it a tad bit more. You actually, with family, you know, I feel if you watch it with family, you won't actually notice the length of the film also, because it'll
Maybe.
certainly become more enjoyable that way. So yeah, so go check out Home, and also if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you like the content, and for a detailed text review of the film, go to Popcorn Reviews, where Farhad has written the review of the film, which is here in the link as well. So yeah, thank you for watching, and the next video is coming very soon, which is going to be based on the poll that I had, and I had actually asked people which films from the recent past should we have a detailed podcast on, and I had four options: Kumbalangi Nights, Vikram Veda, See You Soon, and Super Deluxe. And Nights has won, hats off to all the people who voted for it. Over 80% votes came for that. So we will be doing that maybe this coming week. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. And this is Keshav signing off from Cinema Hall. And see you next time. Bye bye.